Hello everyone, welcome to Things Lucy Reads. I'm Luce and this is my September Plan With Me video. I'm still a few months behind, as you can see, but as I said in my last video, I don't really think the month matters so much because it's really more about the theme that you do than the month you're doing it in. You can watch this and be inspired by it for any month if you want. I would like to think that people are inspired by my themes. Anyway, so this was for September this year. It's a Soot Sprite theme. I've done like a Spirited Away theme a couple of other times in previous months, but I've never done it quite like this. I usually go for like a crimson, light blue, lime green colour scheme, but for this one I've gone with yellow, lime green and pale pink instead. And I was a little bit hesitant about it. I didn't know how well it would work out. I haven't been a huge fan of pink historically in the past, but I actually really liked this, and I'm probably going to do it again at some point next year because it just came out so well and I really enjoyed it. So again, this is the same calendar spread I always do, all the things I have to pay in a month listed on the side there, and then there's a little zip pay tracker down the bottom. I stopped doing this checklist for the next 2 months because I started tracking it in a note on my phone instead, because I have all of this money just saved in an account now and I don't need to allocate it for it week by week. But I might go back to just having it there just so I can see what's come out of the account and what hasn't. Haven't made up my mind about that yet. So I'm using the Staedtler fine liners as always, and then for the thicker colours I've got 2 Crayola Super Tips in pink and yellow, and then I have this green brush pen. The brand is Anko, it's from Kmart, just for the green. In a little bit, I actually cut a little bit off the tip of this because the very tip of it had dried out and I wasn't getting clean, like full lines there. But then I figured out that cutting a bit off would fix it, and it's been fine all month. I've stored it upside down and I haven't had any issues with it. The stickers you can see on the right there are mostly from Fox and Cactus, except for the one with the yellow banner at the top. That's from a shop called Nerd Tea Creations. I will link them all below. But again, as always, they are Australian stores, so international shipping if they have it. I know that Fox and Cactus does. I don't know about Nerd Tea Creations. If they have it, it might be quite expensive, so just be aware of that. So that's me fixing the brush pen there, and then as you can see, it works a lot better, and I didn't have those weird gaps. So Spirited Away is my favourite movie, which is why I emulate it for my bullet journal a lot. It just really speaks to me and I just really love it. And I couldn't even really articulate to you why I love it so much. I just really do. And my head is in frame in this video quite a lot, which I didn't realise at the time, and I apologise for that. So then next we just have my usual next spread, which is self-care, which is basically my to-do list of regular chores for the month. So what weeks I change my sheets, what weeks I just change my pillows, things like flossing my teeth, exfoliating, doing a face mask, but also things like updating the operating system on my phone because I like to put that off a lot. It's things like washing my car or pumping up my tires. It's not just caring for myself, but it's also caring for the tools and equipment that I use frequently throughout my days as well. So my car and my phone, and if I need to tidy my room or do something in there to make my life easier or just to improve things, then I include that on this list as well. It's not just my own body, it's my whole environment counts as self-care, in my opinion. And it's just a series of check boxes with the dates in, so I know when I need to think about doing something on a particular day. And sometimes I don't do it on the date that I've specified, but if that's the case, I just write whatever date I did do it above the box and then I fill it in, so I can just keep track if I was late or not. So this is just the same as always. It always looks like this. It's always tasks in the same order pretty much. Not very exciting, but it works for me. And this washi tape that I'm using is also from Fox and Cactus. I think it's sold out or otherwise unavailable at the moment, but if I can link it down below, I will. And I will also link the specific stickers that I've got there. So I've got a Hobonichi set for the Soot Sprites. I don't have a Hobonichi diary, but it doesn't matter. I just used it for the patterns. And then I've got the Soot Sprite and Star Candy ones as well. And then there's a sheet of burger stickers up there as well. So I will link those all specifically down below, as well as just the shop in general. So those 2 stickers that I've just stuck on are just 3 stars, and they're just like the outline of a star. And then later on I decide that I'm going to colour them in the same colour as their outline. And so for that one I think it's pink, and I just think it stood out a little bit more. And the spread I'm doing at the moment is just my book haul spread. Looks the same as always. I track the date, the name of the book, obviously, the format of the book, so whether it's physical, ebook or audiobook, and how much it cost. Oh, I was wrong. It's not pink, it's yellow. There is a pink one coming up. But it just made it stick out a little bit more, made it a little more evident what it actually was. And I think it ended up looking better. That was me just deciding if I was going to add more stickers or not. Ultimately, I decided no. And then this spread is my TBR. And then I had to cut some of these strips so that they would fit, and I did not get the titles in the center. But literally no one is surprised because I never ever managed that. But I'm not that bothered by it by this point because it happens literally every single month. Cannot stick things in a straight line, cannot get things properly centered on the page. I just can't do it. And then it's flipping back to the previous month to see what I did. So that's that burger sticker there. That's for my TBR jar video, which I've called To Burger, hence the burger stickers. And I've just written my TBR in pencil here so that you can't see it very easily because some of it is a secret. And then a little further down the page, I track the books that I've read. I'm going to have to see how I actually did it on that page because I can't specifically remember now that it's been a couple months. And then I started doing a booktube schedule. So this has 3 columns, and it's videos I need to film on the left, in the middle videos I need to edit, and then on the right videos I need to upload. So whenever a video reaches the next stage, I just draw a little arrow, write it again in the next column. When it's finished with that stage, I draw a little arrow, write it again in the next column, and then when I finally upload it, I put a little dot next to it. And it's been really helpful, and I've done it again for the next 2 months as well because it just really worked well for me. But I did have to create a separate spread for my November setup because I was writing all of my just like vague video ideas in this list as well and not ending up doing anything with them. So I decided to put those on a different page so that they weren't sitting there and then stressing me out. And you're going to have to wait to see what I did for the books that I've read because I did not show it in this part of the video. So this is my mail spread. I can't remember if this was the month where I started leaving 2 pages for it or if that was October. But at some point I realized that I started running out of room and I left myself some more. Because I kept saying to my friend, oh, I've overshot my mail spread again. I need to add another flap again. And they were like, why don't you just leave yourself 2 pages? And I was like, first of all, how dare you roast me like this? And second of all, that's actually a really good idea and I'm going to do that. Yeah, so I've left 2 pages because during lockdown there was a lot of online shopping and therefore there was a lot of parcels to track. For November, just conversely, I have only left myself 1 page, and that's partially because now that I'm back at work and I'm not getting the government money anymore, I'm not sure how money I'm going to have in a week, so I've kind of curbed my online shopping a little bit. But it's also because all of the things that I needed for Christmas I ordered in September and October, which is partially why I had so much mail and needed 2 pages, is because I got ready for Christmas extremely early this year and now I'm like fully set for it and I don't need to worry about anything, which is very nice. And hopefully the Australia Post guys will get a break from coming to my house every single day. I'm sure they're sick of it and I'm sure they're sick of seeing me, but I really do appreciate what they do. Then those star stickers again, they were green, so I colored them in green. And my columns there for the mail page were the date that I ordered, what the item was, and then, when it was sent, estimated arrival date, and then when it actually did arrive. Okay, so this is just a flip through of what I've done so far in the video, but then I added some spreads later, so there will be another flip through again, which shows the newer ones that I did. I did add quite a few spreads for this month, and I filmed one of them, but not the other, I don't think. So that's all I have so far. And then in this next section, I draw 2 trackers for 2 readathons that I did in September. So the first one you can see very obviously is Sci-Fi September, which had a bingo board, obviously, as you can see. And then the next one also had a bingo board, and that was Latinx Book Bingo, which ran from the 15th of September to the 15th of October to coincide with Latinx History Month, which is those dates as well. So my September wrap-up is actually up by this time. So I will link that above if you would like to go and have a look at that. Please feel free to do so if you want to hear some more about the books that I've written down for this tracker. So usually what I do is I print out the bingo board and I glue it in, but we're having a few printer issues at the moment. One of the ink jets is clogged and I just have to unclog it, but I haven't gotten around to it yet. So it was quicker and easier to just physically draw the bingo board in and to just colour it in as I went, and I actually really like doing this, so maybe I'll just continue doing that for other readathons in the future as well. So I wrote out my TBR and I did the little check boxes again because I missed them, and then I assigned a little symbol to each of the books and then also marked up the top in the board which books fit which challenges, just so I had an easy guide to that when I was ready to start ticking things off. Most of the books were short. I got through quite a few of them. That's obviously not all of June. You can probably figure that out for yourself. But I was reading 40 pages a week in order to finish the book before the movie came out, and then I found out that the movie's not even the whole book. So I'm up to part 3 and I'm taking a break. It's fine. I don't think I love it, but it's fine. I'm probably far enough to see the movie and not be spoiled for anything. So I'm just going to leave it there for now and pick it back up in the new year. So each of these boxes is 10 pages. Every time I read 10 pages, I filled it in. I didn't stop reading after 10 pages and fill it in. I waited till I'd read a chunk and stopped reading that book for that day, and then I filled it in, just in case you were wondering. And you will also see this all filled in, because at the end there is a after the pen section. So for this video and for the October one as well, I've included them in that video, but I'm actually going to start doing the completed flip through at the beginning of the plan with me for the next month, just because then it's easier. I can get the videos uploaded in a more timely manner and I don't have to keep being months and months behind just in order to get all the footage together. So they're still happening. If they disappear from videos, it's not that they're not coming back, it's just that they'll be in the next one, because I think that works out better. So these are all the prompts for this readathon. It was really fun. I was able to fill in all of them except for 2, so that was good. I was proud of myself for that. And then I just used the one colour for this one, but then I had 4 for the Latinx Book Bingo one as well. And then I just took a photo of it so I could rub out all of the pencil marks and then pencil the symbols back in. And my phone screen is filthy. I know, I don't clean it as often as I should, but I would wipe it and then it would look like that again within 2 hours. So sometimes I just don't bother. And I was in lockdown at this point, so it wasn't like I was going anywhere. I literally wasn't leaving my house. And every time I did leave my house, I would disinfect my phone when I came back. So don't panic about my phone being filled with germs. It really wasn't. So I'd already read 1 book for this by the time I made this spread, which is why I've started filling it out. But then that's what it looks like, but it's all filled out later on. And I have these Galaxy Girl reading stickers from Fox and Cactus, which are really cute, and I hadn't had the chance to use them before, and then I did, so that was very exciting. So this is just going to be the same again for the Latinx book bingo. I actually only finished one book for this readathon during the actual time, and then I started reading all of the rest of them, but so far I haven't finished any of them, which was a bit of a bummer because this would have looked incredible if I'd been able to fill it out in 4 colours, but I unfortunately could not do that, and I only got 2 colours on there. But there's always next year, and I will make sure that if I redo this spread, I will do it in a month where there is a readathon so that I can retry this spread as well, because I was just really excited to fill it out, and then too many things started happening and lockdown started ending, and I didn't know if I was going to be at work, and everything was a bit up in the air, and I wasn't reading very much, so everything just kind of fell by the wayside a little bit, unfortunately. But so far all of the books that I started reading for this were really, really good, and I can't wait to finish them. So there is that, at least. The same again, I write the prompts in, I assign a symbol to each of the books, and then just pencil that in for the squares so that I can easily check them off when I finished reading. Only 4 books on this TBR, but they were all fairly long, which was probably a bit of a mistake. Like, most of the books I read for Sci-Fi September were really short, and then these ones are just all like regular size novels. So if things hadn't started changing, I probably would have managed it, but then they did, so I didn't quite get there. I used a dark yellow for Juliet Takes a Breath because I thought that the pale yellow that I'd been using would have been too light, but I actually think that it would have been fine, and I wish that I had used the regular yellow because that now just doesn't match. And I had to add a new colour for with Fire on High anyway, so it's not a huge deal, but I wish that I hadn't decided to use the darker one because the lighter one would have looked better. And I've used it for writing before, so I know that I can read it. I don't know what my brain was doing when I decided to do this. Just one of those things. This is a very rambling narration, but also this video is so long. It's much longer than all of my other Plan With Me's, and I don't quite know why. I mean, it's probably because I did many more spreads in this month than I usually do. So, like, there's more than 13 minutes of drawing in this video, and usually I only do the basic spreads each month and then don't add things, but then this month I added a lot of things. So maybe that's it. Hopefully it's interesting though, otherwise you can sit here and listen to me ramble. Maybe what I should do is like put my customer service drive-through voice back on, and my radio voice or my ASMR voice, as people have called it in the past, and then at least it would be soothing to listen to as well as interesting. Maybe I'll try that for the next one. It'll be just like really smooth and sultry, and I'll narrate it the whole way like this. I probably won't, because that would take much more effort than I can probably expend at the moment, but you know, it's a nice idea. Maybe one day I'll do that. It'll be like listening to late night radio. I meant to edit out all the bits of me erasing things and then somehow forgot to do it for this part of the video. My bad. Just putting the symbols back in. You obviously figured out that that's what I was doing, but I'm going to tell you anyway. And then I have to decorate it, obviously. Got to stick those soot sprites on. Just so cute. I love them. And then I was just marking where on the boards I was going to get a bingo. Alrighty, so now this is the last flip through. These are all the spreads that I added on later. So a film and an upload schedule, I didn't use the filming side because that's kind of random and I don't plan it. My habit tracker on the right there, which I've talked about before. And then I started doing this like breakdown. Each square is 2 days, but then this didn't really work for me, which I knew that it wouldn't because it hasn't in the past, but I did it anyway. And then I did another like daily breakdown, which I didn't use at all, but it used up all the rest of the stickers, so it served that purpose. And then on the right was a to-do list, which I also didn't use. So here's what it looks like when it's all filled out. And all of the books that I bought. I have nothing to say for myself. And I got my second Pfizer shot in September, so that's what that is, in case you were wondering. So, all the mail filled out. And there we go, everything filled in. I did film a little bit, but I wrote it in after I'd finished filming, not before. I didn't plan that out. And then, yeah, most of this it was just there to use stickers. I didn't actually use it up at all. So yeah, that was September. Thank you very much for watching, and hope you'll join me for the next one. Bye.